Welcome to the Bougie Baldie Podcast with your host, Kelly Rhymes.
Hey, welcome to season 2 of the Bougie Baldie Podcast. My name is Kelly Rhymes. I am a women's hair loss support and authenticity coach, and now the creator and producer of the Bougie Baldie TV show. Welcome to season number 2. I am excited to bring some great guests to you guys this season. Now, this season, we have more specialists in the hair loss field who will be coming to you, educating you, and bringing you a lot of great information and also letting you know about your options that you have if you are currently experiencing hair loss or have already experienced hair loss and you're looking for a permanent solution. I look forward to bringing all of this information to you. So let's get into the next episode. Hey, welcome to season 2 of the Bougie Baldie Podcast. This season, I am going to start off by introducing a wonderful guest once again by the name of Erika Hill. But before we get into Erika's information, let's talk a little bit about the Bougie Baldie movement, all right? So if you guys have been following me on the previous season of the Bougie Baldie Podcast, you know I was working on a TV show. Well, let me let you know now that that TV show is officially out and you can go view it on the Zandra TV network. So if you have Apple TV, Amazon Fire, or Roku, you can simply go to the App Store, the Play Store, download Zandra TV network, okay? Download that app and you can watch my content, which is the Bougie Baldie Show. So I will put the link to the Zandra TV network in the description below so you guys can go check out the TV show. But back into season number 2. I am excited to get this season started. We have a whole new slew of guests that will be talking to you guys about hair loss, especially women's hair loss. Let me make sure I point that out. Hair loss in women. And today, let me introduce you to Erika Hill. All right. So Erika Hill is a poet, a social justice advocate, social entrepreneur, blogger, and author of Alopecia anthology chapter, Finding Joy After Alopecia. A professionally trained researcher and project manager, Erika has spent over a decade writing poetry and performing poetry that educates, inspires, and incites action. She is an award-winning CEO for her social enterprise, Vision Street Research LLC. So that's VSR as the abbreviation. VSR works with Black-led small and mid-sized businesses and Black-led community-based organizations, providing project management, workforce development training, and market research and data analysis. Erika is doing some things out here, you guys. Now, Erika's businesses seek to provide research that impacts communities and create access and opportunities for Black and Brown youth in economically challenged communities. She is the proud alumnus of the Edward J. Is it Blaustin? Is that correct, Erika?
So Blaustein, yes.
Blaustein School of Planning and Policy at Rutgers University, where she earned a master's degree in city and regional planning, and of the HBCU Clark Atlanta University, where she earned a bachelor's of arts in business administration. In her spare time, she enjoys playing tennis, running, and mentoring young Black girls about self-care, self-love, and confidence. Welcome to the Bougie Baldie Podcast, Erika.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into it because we have a lot to talk about. You are a busy lady, and we want to make sure the audience knows about everything that you are doing, okay? So let's start off the way I always like to start off when I speak to guests. Can you start by sharing your personal journey with alopecia and how did it shape you as a person today?
Sure. So it's so ironic that we're having this conversation today as we're looking into the new year and all the things, exciting things that are going to come. My journey started actually after the diagnosis of my father getting cancer back in 2016.
Okay.
So his diagnosis actually his diagnosis changed things for me because, he was diagnosed with cancer and, we didn't know what the prognosis and it caused me to have a lot of stress. So I had locs and I started noticing some some spots when I would
Okay.
go to the loctician. So she was explaining to me like, "Hey, I'm noticing some spots in your scalp. Are you stressed out? Like what exactly is going on?" And I was like, "Hey, my dad recently got diagnosed with cancer. I'm still trying to process it because obviously there isn't a cure for cancer, so I'm already
Mm-hmm.
thinking ahead of like what's going to happen." And so she gave me some like shampoo, like this whole regimen, and then the spots
Uh-huh.
cleared up. She was like, "Oh, just manage your stress," right? So that went on for a while, but then unfortunately, my dad's process got worse. And
Mm-hmm.
by 2018, well, in 2017, my dad passed away. So more locks came out, but I continued the regimen. I had gone to one dermatologist who scared the life out of me. I always talk about that on my blog. Came into the room, there were needles, there were all these things that terrified me. She was already ready to give me injections. Like, I just want
And
to
she
know
didn't
what's
ask
going.
you first if you wanted it?
No, she was ready. And I had
Oh.
researched this person. I went to a black owned because I'm all about supporting black owned business. And I was highly disappointed with that experience. But because I was
Mm-hmm.
doing the regimen with the that seemed to be working, I was okay with it. But like I said, my dad passed away in August of 2017. I was able to get an appointment with a highly coveted dermatologist locally here on Long Island. I went to her June 2018. At that point, over 50% of my locks were gone.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with injections. No, we started with ointments and injections. So we did both of those things. I did see the hair come back, so I said, okay, like okay, this seems to be working. And then, things got worse. So then I got approved for a clinical trial. So it was a JAK inhibitor. It was actually
Okay.
medicine that now is available for people with alopecia, but it was actually prescribed for people with rheumatoid arthritis that they
Okay.
had found in clinical trials had worked for people in terms of getting their hair to grow back. So I did that for 30 days. But here's the
Mm-hmm.
kicker. I was doing it less for myself. I took on the burden of other people and kept taking it despite the negative side effects I was having
Okay.
because I
So
then
what were the
felt
negative side effects?
so like I couldn't remember stuff. Like I lost keys in the apartment that I never found. I started
Mm.
like feeling like not like myself. And some of the side effects did include like things that could be very harmful to your body. So yes, it would make your hair grow back, but like it was making me feel like another person. Like I felt like
You
I
had to deal with
didn't.
a whole nother slew of other things.
Yeah, and I did it for 30 days, but finally, I met back with the dermatologist and said like, okay, I don't like the way this thing is making me feel. I'm not that tied to my hair that I
Mm-hmm.
want to be have to take this for the rest of my life in order to have some hair. It wasn't like my whole scalp grew back. It was like a patch
Right.
back like here, like a, thick, we'll say like thicker hair. So at that point, I, we stopped doing that and I just decided like, I'm gonna just embrace being bald.
Okay.
Like that was gonna be kind of the journey, and I'm gonna find joy in this process versus leaning into like all the emotions that it was making me feel. It was making me question my self-esteem.
Yeah.
I didn't know like how it was gonna look just walking around bald. I had locks all this time, and I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
how it was gonna be like dating. Just every aspect of my life, while not defined by my hair, my locks had been a part of me, and I had loved the fact that I had been able to grow it because growing up, I could not grow long hair. Like
Okay.
relaxers would always make my hair break off. So it was a big accomplishment that I was able to grow locks that came to like the middle of my back. So then to
Mm-hmm.
have them falling out at work, in the bathroom, like everywhere, right, was also, it made me very self-conscious all the time.
Right.
Until there
Yeah,
were,
because that's
until there was,
embarrassing, right? I mean, you could be at work and the lock just falls out.
well, it
That's
did. And right, a coworker handed them to me and thought I had braids. And I was just embarrassed. Right. He said, here, he
oh
was like, oh, it's no problem. It was a Caucasian coworker who said it's no problem. Like this happens to my sister all the time. And I was like, I froze. Like, no.
yeah.
Like your
Yeah.
sister has extensions. This came out my
Right.
scalp, right? Like
Off
that's
my
not
scalp.
right. It detached from my scalp, but I was just like mortified. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
the day that I decided to shave my head, my friend knew somebody, a barber that was had like a barbershop in the basement of her house. Cause I was also terrified about that. Like if I go into a male dominated barbershop
Yep.
and I have an emotional breakdown, they're gonna just look at me like, what's wrong with you? Like,
Yep.
why are
I
you
agree.
upset?
I totally
Like, what is your
understand.
problem? So I said, like, where can I go? She's like, you can go here. But I literally posted on Facebook from the parking lot of my job and just kept
Hmm.
praying that my boss and coworkers read it before I walked in. Because then I was also terrified about that, right? Like, okay, I feel okay about this. But now I don't know what these people are going to say when I walk into this. I work for the government, like, walk into this building.
Right.
I mean, thankfully, the first person that I saw was somebody at the front desk, and her first words were, "Oh my gosh, you're beautiful." So then, like, all the anxiety came down,
Hmm.
and then my boss said, "I just read your post right before you came in." So then I felt, better of like, okay, now we're
Good.
all
At least your
clear.
boss knew what was going on. So then you had that support if anybody did say
Right,
anything out of pocket to you.
right. To say, like, okay, everything's gonna be all right. And, from then on, it's just been trying, to find joy in the moments. I still have instances where I'm triggered. I mean, I'm still grieve my father,
Hmm.
or get high stress and my scalp will itch. Like especially during the pandemic, like my scalp got really irritated. So it's not like okay because the hair is gone, you still don't experience anything. And I think that's what some people may think. Like it's still your scalp, and it's
Yeah.
still a battle between your scalp and yourself almost. Like your scalp is saying like
Well,
no,
can you
they
tell? So, okay. So, Erica, can you tell us what form of alopecia you have?
I have alopecia areata, which is actually it's the patchy, you get patches. So it's normally you get like quarter size patches in your scalp. So when I had mentioned about my loctician saying that there were spots, that's what she was seeing. She was seeing like these quarter size hair loss spots in my scalp amongst my locks.
Oh,
And even without the locks, as the hair starts to grow back, I still can see the patches, which
got it.
kind of for me like causes me to want to shave more frequently because seeing them is, can be triggering, right? Like there'll
Yeah.
be like a big spot here or like spots here, and I don't
Hmm.
like seeing myself that way. So, having some sort of steady regimen of just shaving my scalp so that I don't is also what helps me in terms of just managing my emotions and just the self-esteem aspect of how you see yourself.
I can definitely understand that. The only reason why you don't see it as much on me is because I have micropigmentation. So like all this dark area, that's all micropigmentation. So I cut mine too on a daily basis with just a regular, not the razor, but the little circular
Mhm.
razors, that you just rub over
Yeah.
your head. So I use that, and then I use a tea liner like maybe once a week when I really need to clean it up around like the nape of my neck or behind my ears and all that stuff. I
Okay.
use that as well. But
Okay.
yeah, when you like it is triggering, especially like you may be confident. You may be like, yes, this is how I wear my hair. I am bald, yada yada yada.
Right.
But even still, you want to look good. You get what I mean? So even
Right.
still, just
Yes.
like if you had hair, you would want your hair styled or looking decent. Even though you have a bald head, you want your bald head to look good and decent. You don't want it
Right.
ashy. You want it like, a little coming out, so it's still things that you need to do to make sure you maintain your scalp.
Right. Exactly. No,
So,
you're completely right. Yes.
yes, yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to move on to my next question to you.
Okay.
And this is about your participation in the Alopecia Anthology, the book. Now, you wrote the
Yes.
chapter called Finding Joy After Alopecia. Can you tell the audience what inspired you to contribute to this anthology and how did you approach the writing process when you were asked to do this?
So I said yes to this because I saw it as another opportunity to create greater awareness about alopecia areata and to share my testimony. I
Mhm.
feel like the work that I do, I mean, both for Joy After Alopecia and even my other business that we'll discuss later, is less about me and more about kids. So because I've been to the National Association of Alopecia Areata Foundation to their conference, and I met little kids that didn't have hair or didn't have eyebrows. And I
Yeah.
listened to the stories of like what happens to them in school. I see it as an opportunity to show like a little black girl that if you come into the world and don't have hair, it's okay. It happened to me
Mhm.
later in life, but I want that little black girl to see an example of a black woman that is bald and beautiful, and that it's okay. It's okay to be different, and that you can still, even as a kid, like find joy. So I said yes to this as part of that, and then also just as part of a continual healing process.
Right.
Because I just feel like as I get older, you continue to heal through kind of grieving your hair.
You are grieving it, not kind of. You are.
Yeah, like so I just saw it as another opportunity since launching my blog in 2019 to kind of go deeper. So what I ended up doing was actually using poetry and music, which are two things that have helped me grieve my dad, grieve this process, and just kind of like navigate through different challenging times.
Okay.
So that's how I approached it, of like the different aspects of it. So like in one particular section I talk about like as the locks, fell onto the floor, I felt like I lost a part of me. I had once
Mm-hmm.
been a strong root, and now it felt like the roots were coming up and leaves were falling. Cause that's how it felt, the way the locks were just coming out of my scalp.
Okay.
Um,
Like a new season, a new.
yes,
That's
exactly. And
what
I
it
said
is.
like
It's a
it
new
gave birth,
chapter,
it
a
gave
new
birth to a new
season.
season, right? And that's what I said.
Yeah.
It's like the changing of seasons, that this then was like a rebirth. Now, okay, I'm coming into the world bald
Right.
versus
And,
how I previously was
and
presented.
how do you present that identity? Like when that
Right.
happens, how do you
Yeah,
shift? And that's what
exactly.
everybody has to face, of course, when you have this hair loss.
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah, that was the process. I listened to a lot of music, and I even like the like embedded in my chapter are different. So what I was just sharing with you are like different verses from, like, I wrote poems to kind of describe my emotions,
Okay.
which was different from how I had ever approached writing about it. Like I wrote straight blog posts, or I, write things on social media, but I had
Hmm.
not used poetry as the vehicle for talking about this journey in particular. It was
And
more
we're
just
gonna get into your poetry a little bit more later because I definitely want to hear something if you can. Something that you came up with, the poem you came up with that was inspired by your hair loss. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about your message. So you've transformed your personal experience with alopecia into a message of joy and empowerment, as you just talked about and you wrote in the book. What are some key themes in that chapter that you believe resonate the most with the readers of the book?
I think one of the things is being able to identify like what are triggers. Like I did a blog about it because think people think like, okay, it's just like the hair, but like for me, the hair is associated with grief of my father. So when I think about him, I'm triggered, right?
Okay.
So just like I like identifying what are triggers, and I mean we all have them, even if you don't have alopecia, right? Things trigger
Yeah.
you. But
Yeah.
like identifying what they are, acknowledging them, and then figuring out healthy ways to process them. So for me, it's been like music or meditation or journaling, like to actually just
Hmm.
write down and just name whatever those emotions are.
Hmm.
That I would say is one of the things. The other is you can find joy in everything. So I talk about like finding that childlike joy. So like as a child, I loved doing puzzles. I
Hmm.
loved going roller skating. I played jacks with my dad. Like, so find the things that you found joyful as a child, lean into those things, and then find like what are things that'll bring you joy. So in those moments when you're kind of feeling frustrated about, you don't control that we have alopecia. So
Right.
frustrated, angry, whatever, like use those things to help catapult you back into a place of joy, even if it's just for a moment. It could be for a second, 5 minutes. I know people can't be happy or joyful all day long, but I do think you deserve for yourself to find moments of joy for
Hmm.
whatever, however you can find it, whatever's going to work for you. I walk by the water. I had to find a lot of joy during the pandemic when we were isolated because I'm an
Right.
extra. and it was very challenging to not be around people.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to lean into like, okay, what can bring me joy? So I found water. So I looked up all the waterfront parks that I could drive to, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what I did. So it's
So,
just to lean into things because I feel like children find joy in the most random things. So to me,
uh-huh.
it's read deeper into that childlike joy for yourself as you navigate through this journey, wherever you are on the journey of
And
alopecia.
it's interesting that you say that because I'm kind of like on this journey now of trying to get more joy back into my life and kind of coming back, like you just said, those childlike moments. Like I had to really sit down and think, like, what did I really love to do that I just don't do anymore? Like life
Mhm.
is just happening and I just haven't been doing certain things. Like I like to dance and go out, and dance. Haven't been doing that, but I want to get back to it. I just got back into yoga, so that's a good thing. That's step one. Also,
Okay.
roller skating. So I used to like to roller skate. I haven't been on roller skates in a while, but
Okay.
I was like, I need to go roller skate. And where I am now, you can go outside and do
Oh,
a lot of
nice.
different sports, and the weather's always nice. So I'm like, I'm gonna start roller skating outside. So my
Nice.
next project is to find a place, which I have people have told me about a place to go to. So I just need to go and just get out there and just roll with the roller skates. So yes, that'll be part of my little piece of joy.
Nice. Nice. I can't
Yeah,
wait to see it.
I,
Like see
I'm
you
gonna do
post
some
about it.
content if I can. I
Yeah.
don't know. Look, I'm a little bit
You have
afraid
to
of
stage you
falling.
have to stage the phones. I have a friend that's done it. She kept recording herself roller skating. I don't she had it situated somewhere on the bench. I was very impressed
Okay.
'cause she was doing circles and she was doing a lot on the skates. And it was
Okay. Well, yeah,
all
I won't be doing that
it was
much.
all
I just
captured.
be saying small steps, baby steps.
Right.
But yeah, just doing those things where it's just like you feel free. You feel like this is just an enjoying moment. I could just be goofy and silly and just enjoy this moment. That's what
Right.
I'm trying to get back to. So I'm glad you talked about that. And that's what you kind of put out there to people because I think that's so important. As we become adults, we just get so busy with responsibilities that we just forget about the things that brought us joy. So we got to tap
Right.
back into that. Yep,
For sure.
definitely. All right, so let me move on because I want to talk about your research, your entrepreneurship, and things like that. So, as a social justice advocate, how do you connect the dots between your work in research, entrepreneurship, and your advocacy for individuals with alopecia?
So it's funny that you say that. So part of that started with me finding a foundation that was rooted in giving people access. So actually, when I found NAFT, which is the National Association of Alopecia Areata Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
I went to their conference and then I actually became a legislative liaison. So being able to educate local politicians in my area and friends, quite frankly, about
Mm-hmm.
alopecia and some of the legislation that supports people who need wigs and, just the same way it's covered for cancer patients. So it should be covered for people with alopecia, right?
It
Because
should be.
for people
Yes.
with alopecia, it tends to be more permanent, whereas in some cases with people with cancer, their hair may grow back after
Mhm. The
they've
chemo
completed more
treatments.
chemo or whatever. Right.
Right.
Whereas somebody that has like totalis or whatever, like it could be more permanent. So, being able to educate people about that has been part of it. The other part is being able to use data. So my company, Vision Street Research, my tagline is data-driven decisions. Right? So being able to arm people with the data about the number of people that are impacted with alopecia, about women, the impact of women, helping people better understand that it's not just about hair. Because of course, as soon as I said I had alopecia, everybody wanted to play India RE and didn't see how like that could hit differently. You think you're empowering somebody. It actually bothered me. Like that's not the time to tell me I'm not my hair. Because what I always say is shave your head today and then come talk to me. I want you to just shave it right now. Shave all your hair off right now with the wardrobe that you have and then call me back. And then we can talk about whether it's about hair or something else.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a good point because I had someone I was talking to. It was actually a male who
Hmm.
had alopecia, and I forgot which type, but he had the type where he had no hair on his body, right?
Okay.
So, you know how people always are like, oh, it's just your hair. It's not that big of a deal. And
Right.
he said he told one of his friends, why don't you just shave off your eyebrows? Just shave your eyebrows and go about your daily life and see how you feel. Just that
Right.
little piece. And then
Right.
that's when people are hit home, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, no, I don't, he didn't want to do that. So yeah, it's not just your hair, right? It's more than
Mhm.
that. It is more than that. Yeah, of course, we can still live without hair, but it is still an important part for many people. And it takes a journey. It's a journey to get to that place of confidence and comfort without to go around this world without hair, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. So that is how I connect the dots, because I also, when young girls talk about like getting braids and all these different like hairstyles, because I've been educated by my dermatologist, and actually last year I did an event where she came to speak to women about like protective hairstyles and all these things that
Mm-hmm.
can lead to hair loss. A form, alopecia is defined as hair loss. So also educating young ladies that I talk to about the choices they make concerning their hair, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that you're not putting undue like pressure on your hair and on your edges and all these things that seem
Right.
cute or like trending on TikTok or whatever, but could also contribute to you losing hair.
Yeah. And that's permanent. You know what I mean? Not just something that
Right,
you come
exactly.
out
That's the
now.
thing. Like it's correct.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's go ahead, and you talked a little bit about Vision Street research. You mentioned it, but we want to dive into it a little bit more. So can you tell us about the company and what motivated you to start this venture? How does it address the needs of the Black-led businesses and the communities?
So yeah, so when I went to grad school at Rutgers and studied city and regional planning, I had a focus on community development and affordable housing. I
Mm-hmm.
really was in my like save the world zone of like I want to figure out how I can use the things that I've learned and the access that
Mm-hmm.
I have to be able to help other people that look like me gain access. So economic mobility. And I realized that I needed to be able to influence policymakers and be having discussions with people that are making decisions about how our communities look, right? So somebody
Mm-hmm.
making a decision about a liquor store versus a library versus a bank or
Mm-hmm.
a full service grocery store, right? There's somebody making a decision about that on our behalf.
Right.
And a lot of times we're not at the table. So I
Mm-hmm.
that's why I went to school for planning, because I'm like, I want to make sure that I have the expertise to be at the table, as well as to inform community members about what they should be advocating for of their elected officials. So
Okay.
I had done a summer internship after I wrapped up grad school, and quite frankly, the job market was terrible in 2011. That's how I ended up at an internship. And then through the internship, I was given access to an organization called Partnership for Southern Equity that was doing all this amazing work around equity in Atlanta, and then
Okay.
started they wanted me to do work with them it was for a Metro Atlanta Equity Atlas, so giving people access to data in the forms of maps and a report that really tells a story about like health, economic development, jobs, just different aspects of people's lives using, like I said, maps and storytelling. I
Mm-hmm.
knew enough to know kind of how like the for lack of a better word, how Uncle Sam works. So I'm like, so in order, before you hire me, I'm gonna start a business because I need this to go through a LLC. You're not gonna hire Erica the individual and then me be taxed that way.
As an individual,
So I
yeah.
had a mentor. Yeah, I had a mentor that had an LLC, so she walked me through the process. So that's how I came up with it. And for me, it was about the vision that I had about improving the communities of people that look like me. And
Okay.
the vehicle that I was going to use that was going to be research.
Mm.
So it was like Vision Street Research because it's a route to get to my ultimate outcome,
Okay.
which is really about improving economic mobility and at the end of the day, helping to close the wealth gap between black black people, quite frankly, and then their counterparts, because there is a
No,
huge gap between.
look.
So yes, so working with black owned businesses for me solves one part of the problem in terms of helping them with their data, with their marketing, to be able to make sure that they're successful so that they can
Mm-hmm.
employ more people in their communities and be able to thrive, to create one version of generational wealth because we don't see enough people being able to say they can leave their business to their, to their children. They don't have a
To their
business,
children.
right?
Not in
They're
our
working,
community, not a
right,
lot.
right. They're working for somebody else. So no, you're not, you don't own that business, right? Or being able to leave a home to someone. So that's one aspect of it. So it may be doing customer service, customer satisfaction surveys, or again, like helping them pull together data to apply for a grant, a small business grant, or even
Okay.
just connecting them with another business that maybe they can pair up with to help expand the exposure and outreach of their business. On the community side, it's working with Black-led community-based organizations that are primarily working with helping adults and young people achieve financial sustainability and economic mobility as well. So one of my long-term clients has been an organization called Choice for All, and we recently, in the last 2.5 years, were able to open up a Long Island Financial Empowerment Center where Black and Brown people can come and get financial counseling. They can meet with counselors and be able to get the help that they need in order to, apply for another job, clear up some debt, get additional assistance with resolving any sort of like underbanked challenges. So having banking partners that'll work with a person that may have been underbanked, which
Okay.
means you've had some like overdrafts and things, or you're unbanked, right? So that's your cousin, your friend who stores money under the mattress. That's the best way.
Right.
They don't have a bank account. They don't trust the
Hmm.
banks. They just gonna go underneath their, underneath the mattress or whatever, and that's how they store their money when they're ready to use it.
Right.
Um, so it's working with adults and then as well as young people. So one of my, I would say my greatest joys has been working with young people to help them with their resume building and show up in the world for job interviews like I know we need to, right? I feel like we get a bad rap from not being as prepared, being unprofessional, not dressing appropriately for interviews in some cases. So I spent a lot of time, especially in 2020, putting together very comprehensive and interdisciplinary internships
Hmm.
that employed both young men and young women to help them with that in collaboration with Black owned organizations and businesses to help them with their resume, to help them acquire some more soft skills. Because that's the thing. A lot of people think like, oh, I just need hard skills. No, they can teach you what they need to do on the job. They can't
Right.
teach you how to be an effective communicator. You have to know that, you have to learn that yourself,
Yeah.
right? They can't teach you time management. You need to come in with that. And those are just
So
something so that's the types of
go
things that
ahead.
I do with both the Black-led businesses and the organizations to improve community outcomes.
Okay, so I had some follow-up questions. I've listened to everything you're saying, and some things kind of popped up. So, like when I was growing up, and I mean, I grew up in the 80s, 90s, 2000s,
Mhm.
we were like, that was a standard as far as we learned how to dress for interviews. We were
Mhm.
prepared for interviews. So, I don't think that was as much of an issue, but maybe it was in some certain cases. I'm just wondering, does it have to be taught more now because society is way more casual than it used to be? Because I know when I was growing up, we were very conservative as far as how we dressed, how we presented ourselves at work. We were taught these things. But now,
Mhm.
you can go, people are out in sweatshirts, stretch pants, t-shirts, like flip-flops, like that's kind of like the
Right.
norm now. It's not as professional or as conservative as it used to be. So do you feel like there's a need, more of a need now for the younger generation than there was for people like myself who are in their 40s or even maybe, mid to late 30s?
Yeah, so I think for kids that went through the pandemic and were young, I think that's like so because of the entrance of Zoom, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's been a gift and a curse, right? Because people were showing up to Zooms. I mean, I had somebody tell me this, showing up with like a white tee to the interview, a young person,
Oh, okay.
right? So like there's
Mhm.
still like a disconnect of how you should show up versus maybe how they think you dress for the actual job. So okay, the job may be a busboy who may wear a white tee, but you can't wear that to the interview, right? Like that's not
Right.
appropriate. So I think I feel like some of these things have been taken out of schools. So like I know a lot of things have been taken out of school, so some of these things may have been covered in some sort of like business etiquette class or things like that, where they've removed so many things from schools that then yeah, I just think they don't know. They see things online where yeah, people are very casual. The CEO may have on like some jeans and some sneakers, but here again, like that's not how you show up to an interview. So I think like not being able to connect the dots as it relates to how people appear in their day to day and what may even be acceptable at the job on a day to day is still not how
Right.
you have to show up for an interview. You still need to
Still,
show up,
still
dressed
need to,
appropriately.
yeah, exactly. You still need that good business suit, that shirt and tie, at least,
Right.
for the interview. So I'm glad you're teaching these things. I'm glad you're doing so much work with the community or nonprofits that support, initiatives for the community. That's a wonderful thing. So can you tell me, like, does your company work nationwide or you only focus on Atlanta? Is it globally? Like, can you tell the audience who you serve as far as your clients?
So, I mean, the Atlanta piece was because I was in Atlanta at the time. I mean, now that been back in New York for a while, I've been working primarily with folks that are on Long Island in my home
Okay.
neighborhood. I like to be pretty close to the work. However, because it's consulting, I can take on clients that are in other states
Okay.
as the opportunities present itself. It's just like I said, the current projects that I'm working on are very particular to Long Island. So because I live here, I will say like most of the people that I've worked with thus far more recently have been here on Long Island, but definitely have clients from other states and, and welcome any new ones. It's just about being able to work with, those Black-led businesses and organizations to make a social
Okay.
impact.
So, okay, now you told us about your business. Now, your focus is on creating opportunities and access for Black and Brown youth as well. That's part of what you do, okay? As
Yeah.
far as what I understand. Can you share some of the success stories or projects from Vision Street Research that have highlighted the impact that you're making on communities?
Yeah, so as I had alluded to, I during 2020, I did a lot of work in particular with young people and some things that I'm really proud of. When I originally started my business, Vision Street Research, it was in 2012 and it was while I was residing in Atlanta. Unfortunately, there's not reciprocity between Atlanta and New York, so I had to restart my business in New York in
Okay.
2019 and then formally launched it in 2020. So obviously we know 2020 was the pandemic. And so there were a bunch of youth that were supposed to have internships like internationally and just all these things in person.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we're not able to do that because of what was going on in the world.
Right.
So, I created two separate interdisciplinary internships, one for some young ladies that were in college, where I worked with a community-based organization and we provided specific projects around like the census, because Census 2020 was a big thing for me and a big
Mm-hmm.
thing statewide. So being able to collect data about how many people were filling out the census in the Black and Brown communities, and then being able to share that information on social media, doing weekly Instagram chats with people from different communities to highlight the importance of
Mm-hmm.
completing the census. So I was really proud about that project because I felt like it increased the awareness. I mean, I was also going out into communities to talk to different people about the importance of it. So the
Okay.
people that people trusted, like churches, barbershops, hair salons, to be able
Mm-hmm.
to really get the word out in those communities to get people to complete the census. In addition to that, it was as part of the summer youth employment program, I was asked to help with recruiting additional businesses to participate, particularly ones that had like virtual opportunities as well. Again, because of the pandemic, there were limits about students being able to, go in these environments. So I
Right.
created a whole program for these three young men. They were sophomores and juniors in high school, and like a curriculum around soft and hard skills. I got guest speakers, so people that I went to college with or just colleagues to come in and speak with them. And I was
Mm-hmm.
really proud of that because at the end of it, like one of the students ended up walking into a bank and asking about like opening up an investment account because of a conversation that he had with one of the people. Right. They didn't even know.
Okay.
They were like, I didn't even know what that is. And he was like, oh, my internship, one of the guest speakers that came told us about this, so I want to find out, like, what does your bank offer? Other students were able to secure additional internships because of that particular experience and the things that I exposed them to and the skill sets that they had, or get into college, or asking me to write recommendations letters. Like, out listening to their final presentation showed me the
Mm-hmm.
true impact of what they got out of it, right? Like what they learned from them for the individual speakers, what they learned about the importance of project management, about strong communication skills, and how that was going to help them not only finish high school, but help them in their future career paths. Because part of that was them researching the career paths that they thought they wanted to be in, and being
Okay.
able to really delve deeper into, like, what skills do you need for that, and then actually talking to people that were in that profession so that you can learn more about, like, that actual profession that you think, because you're just reading what you see, right? Or you're reading the salary. Like, you don't know until you've actually spoken to somebody that does that on a day to day. And I mean, I still keep in contact with them now. They have now all graduated, all but one has graduated college, gainfully employed. And I mean, I still, when I asked them like what they got out of the internship, they were just saying about like the modules and like the guest speakers and how much that helped them, along with the fact that because we were in the pandemic, I also talked to them about self-care. I was like, I know you're trapped in your house. Well, you're trapped in the sense that you can't be around other people. I said, go take a walk, go shoot basketball. Like, you need to do things that bring you joy.
Right.
So this is where like the Joy After Alopecia kind of comes into here of, they didn't know what to do. Like, this, nobody
Mhm.
obviously knew what to do, but like for young people, it was very challenging, right? To navigate like everything being done from a computer
Right.
and the disconnect. So, having even people talk about, having guest speakers talk about different things you can do for self-care. I gave them like a photo assignment. I had a photographer come in and like they had to take photos around their community and tell them what they saw. So I was
Okay.
trying to help them like still find things to find joy in the fact that even though they couldn't be around their friends
Mm-hmm.
during this time, while also teaching them key skills that they would need for employment or even for college.
So
And
based off of
that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean that, I mean, I was just very proud, like seeing them use the skills that I provided them with outside of this internship brought me a great bit of joy, and it was a big accomplishment to me because the more young people that are equipped with these skills, the better for the future of our communities, right? Because these are the people that are going to be here to take over what we've been doing, like the seeds we've been planted,
Mm-hmm.
the ideas that they'll grow and they'll come, these dreams and visions that we have for our communities will come to fruition. But we need to empower and equip the young people now with the information and like the understanding of the importance of giving back to their communities, and also like just continuing to learn more about how they can be proactive in the
So
change they want to see.
based off of the success of that program, have you been able to recreate that for other
So I
students
can,
or
so I continue to do it. So as
okay.
because my mission is about economic mobility and a focus on Black and brown young people, I offer internships all the time. So I actually just
Okay.
had another one this summer with a young man from Roosevelt High School
Mm-hmm.
that I met while doing a workshop on resume writing.
Okay.
So it was a 4-week internship. It had some similarities of what I, said. We did less of the guest speakers and more of him doing a deeper dive into his community and just learning about different things like
Mhm.
complete streets and how that dictates and who dictates what's happening on your roads. Because again, I want you to understand that you as a citizen should be speaking to your elected officials about these things that you see. So if you
Right.
see that there's a problem with this grocery store, or this corner where you see like suspicious activity, you need to go tell somebody, not
Yes.
just talk amongst your friends. Like, these people have been elected to do a job, make them earn it. Like
Yeah.
they need to
Work.
work for the right. Yeah, like make them, work for it. But I mean, it also was about helping him improve his writing skills because he said he wanted to go into journalism. So I made
Okay.
him write a lot more than normally I have students write. Normally they're just making like social media captions for me. But
Mm-hmm.
because he specifically said he was interested in journalism, I had him write blogs.
Okay.
And then, so it was trying to help him understand, like, okay, we're going to apply these things that you've learned in school in terms of like 5-paragraph essays and how to like make sure things flow. Like, those things would be important if you're actually going to go into a career of journalism. Like, you need to have strong writing skills as well as time management because he was on a traveling basketball team. He also did some community work.
Okay.
So, trying to help him fine tune those skills as well as communication, because there definitely was some lapse in, yes, in him being able to communicate sometimes when he was going to be late with submitting stuff, and just trying to get him to understand, like, right, in the real world, like, you need to communicate things early and effectively, right? Like, you can't tell me when it's due. Oh, now I'm not going to make the deadline.
Yeah,
Like, like,
exactly.
that's not the
You have
appropriate
to
way to do
anticipate,
it.
like, oh, this is what's happening right now. So maybe
Right.
not be able to do that. So let me sell somebody before it's too late.
Correct. Exactly. So, he had, there were some hard lessons of like, hey, so you need to figure this out. And then also problem solving, which I believe for this younger generation, that's a problem. Like, there's the instant gratification and then just wanting
Mhm.
people just to give things to them. Like, no, you figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, you
And
need to
critical
problem
thinking
solve.
is another problem
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yes. Like, I'm not, if that's the case, why am I having you do the work if I'm gonna give you everything without you
Yeah.
having to troubleshoot or figure things out? Like, then I'm
Mm-mm.
doing you a
Might as well
disservice.
do it yourself.
Right. Like, what then is the point? So, I mean, and it's funny because I'm where I went to school, so Clark Atlanta, the tagline is find a way or make one. And like, I live
Mhm.
by that to the fullest, right? So you got to figure it out. Like, if it is not like an obvious answer, figure out some alternative way, right, to accomplish whatever you need to get done.
Right, right. Now, you talked about self-love and self-care when you were mentoring the young men during the pandemic. Can you talk? Because I know you also mentor young Black girls. So, in
Mhm.
terms of self-care and self-love, what advice do you like impart on the young Black girls that you mentor, especially those that may be facing challenges similar to yours, like who are going maybe through alopecia or just other challenges you may have faced in life?
So one of the things at this point is like therapy helps, right? I think there's like it doesn't matter what age you are, like you should seek out professional help to kind of
Hmm.
talk through your feelings. Yes, I can be a resource, a sounding board for certain things, but obviously I'm not trained in all things. So being able to get the help that you need for whatever you're facing is one of the things I lead with. So like if you're
Hmm.
facing some mental health challenges, like you should seek out a therapist, right? And one that's going to be appropriate for what you're going through. Some young ladies I've been in several conversations have experienced trauma, right? So you need to find a sorry. You need to find a therapist, that specializes in trauma so that you're finding somebody that can really help you navigate those challenging times. The other thing is the importance of journaling. Like, I'm just a big proponent of it. I do it every day, as well as affirmation. So I was actually texting a young lady the other day about some affirmations that I was listening to on Audible book. It's like morning
Okay.
affirmations, and they're like morning affirmations, and there's ones about career. So this particular person was having challenges with the career aspect of their life. So
Hmm.
giving them some things that, hey, I think you should recite these every day. I think you should put them on sticky notes, have them in your purse, put them up on your mirror in your bathroom, right? So you can keep seeing them, because what I've learned and always share is like you have to be kind to yourself.
Oh,
Sometimes when
yeah.
we're going through things, the negative self-talk just takes
Mhm.
over, and it just sends you down a rabbit hole. And I mean, that's what
Yes.
I've seen, for young women that'll come to me saying they're facing a problem. It's like, but what are you saying to yourself? Like, I don't care about what the other people are saying. Like, don't internalize what people are saying.
Hmm.
You need to be saying positive things to yourself. Because if you're also like
Definitely.
repeating what they're saying, this negative stuff, like, oh, you're not going to be able to do anything, like, you're going to be a statistic, like your mother or your uncle, like all these things, then you start to believe it,
Yeah.
even though it may not be true. And as well as, again, still trying to empower people to find joy. Like, okay, you may not be in the situation that you want to be right now. Like, you may not be in the job that you want to be in. But like,
Hmm.
what are baby steps that you can take to get closer to that? Maybe it's having an informational conversation with somebody. So giving them access to people that I know to be able to,
Hmm.
to talk through some things. Or, I use Peloton meditation app. Or,
Hmm.
maybe you want to consider like some essential oils or like ashwagandha, or, things that are just like calming if you're feeling like anxiety, just
Right.
trying to help them like, navigate with natural ways to resolve some things, as well as, seeking professional help. Because
Definitely.
I know that it can be challenging, right? Like you can become overwhelmed, you become anxious, you have a panic attack, like all these things could happen whether you're living with alopecia or just navigating some just challenging
Life.
times with family,
It's
just
just
life.
life.
Yeah, life. Life be lifing, as they say.
Life be lifing.
Yes.
Now, let's talk a little bit about poetry because we mentioned it earlier. So now is the time to really get into your poetry. Now, what role does poetry play in your advocacy and your day-to-day life? And could you potentially share a little something with us that you've created? I know you talked about creating poems around the topic of alopecia. So would you like to share anything with us? Because I would love to hear it.
Yeah, I need, hold on. All right. Why are you stripping? Oh, dear. Sorry. All right, so here we go. As the locks left my scalp, a little piece of me was lost. I had been a strong tree trunk, now roots were coming up and leaves were falling. No spring flowers, only April showers flowed from my eyes. Sadness slipped in, grief grew. Why was I losing things I loved? My childhood babysitter, my therapist, my dad, and my job. Stuck and speechless. Can I beat this? So many questions. Why is this happening to me? What should I do? Concealing my loss with smiles, scarves, and bobby pins. Fake it until you make it, they say. But I wonder, did they mean until you make a decision? So that was what is an excerpt from the chapter in the
Okay.
anthology,
Oh,
specifically
yes.
about alopecia.
Yes, you said so many things that I'm like, oh yes, faking it, covering it up with a smile. I've done that so many times, and I still do it to this day. I still do,
Mhm.
even though I've learned how to express my emotions better. There's still things I still have to work through, just like all of us. You know what I mean? So always having that smile on my face, regardless of how I'm feeling inside, was something I definitely used to do more often back then when I was like really going through my journey than I do now. Now I'm like, look, I don't got time. This is how I feel, and it is what it is. Like, but I'm just at a certain point of life, also. When you hit that over 40, age, you're like, I don't care what you think. This is how I feel, and this is what I'm gonna do. But definitely, there are a lot of people out here still putting a smile on their face, putting that mask on, like we talk about. We've heard
Right.
so many times, and just pushing through instead of dealing with what's actually happening inside themselves and seeking the support and help that they need. And even though mental health is spotlighted now, and people are promoting more therapy and getting help and all of the things, you still have people, especially in the Black community, who feel like that therapy is a quack. It's a waste of money. You could work it out yourself. No, because if we could, we would be our whole community would be in a whole better place if we could work it out ourselves. You know what I mean? We've been dealing with trauma for a very, very long time. This is in our DNA at this point. So no, we need help. You people need to understand that therapists are there for a reason. You may have good ones, you may have bad ones, but you find you a good one and you get with them and get the help you need and the support you need. Even if it's not a therapist, it may be a coach, it may be a
Right.
support group, it may be, a good friend. It could be anybody outside of a therapist, I know, but seek the support and help you need, because that is definitely important. Definitely. And I love that poem or the excerpt of the chapter.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Now, looking ahead, you have some projects or some upcoming projects or initiatives that, may be happening. So, what are you most excited about? What's coming up next for you? And what can the audience look forward to?
So what I'm most excited about is this next chapter of Joy After Alopecia. I have so many exciting things in the works in terms of merch, just new products, and just new tools to help people that are navigating alopecia or just navigating a hard time and need some help trying to find more joy in their life. So I would
Okay.
just, encourage the audience to stay tuned for those things. We're in the lab kind of fine-tuning designs and just different things, like I said, to just help people navigate and just find more joy in their lives, right, as they're going through this, and then inspire people who maybe, at the beginning stage of this whole alopecia. I had someone actually in my DM tell me that after reviewing the stuff on my Instagram content, she felt empowered enough to shave her head. So she said, I just want to tell you thank you.
Isn't that a liberating experience? Like I've had that same experience recently, like within the last month.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good feeling when you know that you are doing work that's helping. Like you, that's the whole point of us doing this whole thing, right? Putting ourselves out
Right,
there talking about alopecia so that other people who are facing it can feel more comfortable, know you're not alone, and have that
right.
courage to shave their head. The lady I spoke to reached out to me, same thing, reached out to me, messaged me. She was actually all the way in Uganda, saw my content on social media and have been following me. And she said the same thing. She's like, I live in a rural area and I shave my head. And you gave me the confidence. And I'm the only person walking around here that looks like this. And, people look at me, but I don't care because I'm going to stand in this. And I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, how powerful. You are all the way in Uganda. Who would have thought? But it's a joy just to have those type of experiences. So how did you feel when the person reached out to you?
Yeah, I felt great because I mean, when I'm posting stuff again, like some of it is just sometimes it is like a true testimonial of like what I'm feeling or experiencing that day. Other times I just feel like spirit led to share it because it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna help somebody else. So I did feel joy that like wow, like some content that you saw on my page, made you feel empowered enough to shave your head and living your truth,
Yeah.
right? Because like whatever is your truth. If you want to wear a wig, that's your truth. I'm never gonna say like whatever's gonna work for you. You should feel,
Yeah.
but you should feel happy about it. Like don't let
Yeah.
other people dictate what is gonna be okay for you in the journey of alopecia because they don't have alopecia, right? So
Right.
like they're speaking from a place of what will make them comfortable, which is not fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say, like, whatever makes you happy. Do what makes you feel happy and what makes you comfortable. That's the most important thing. Now, you mentioned your merchandise and some other tools and projects you're creating. Tell everybody where they'll be able to find those things if they want to, utilize some of your tools or get some of the merch. Where can they find that?
So if you go to www.joyafteralopecia.com, you'll be able to see all the stuff that once it drops, that's coming up.
Okay. Okay. So I will also have the link to the website in the description of the show notes. So if you guys didn't catch that, just click the link in the show notes and it'll take you directly to her website. Okay. All right. That was so great. That was a plethora of information. It was so good to learn more about you. So thank you so much, Erika, for sharing your valuable self and information with the audience.
Thank
All
you. It's
right,
been a
so that is one. You're welcome. So that's going to end this episode of the Bougie Baldie Podcast. And remember, I do have the Bougie Baldie TV show on Zandra TV Network. Now, if you are interested in becoming a sponsor or you want a commercial spot to advertise your business on the TV show, make sure you click the link in the description and send me an email or either book a phone call with me so that we can talk about how you can be a sponsor, have your products potentially on the show or featured in a commercial around the TV show. Okay. So just make sure you look in the description and you'll find all of the links from what we talked about today with Erika, her website, how you could be a sponsor or get a commercial with the TV show. All of the juiciness will be in the description. So thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Bougie Baldie Podcast, and we see you on the next one. Bye. Thank you for listening and watching the Bougie Baldie Podcast. I appreciate you as an audience member. Now, make sure you go and check out the Bougie Baldie TV show. You can watch it from any device, any smart device. All you have to do is go to ZandraTV.com and you will be able to pull up my show. It is under the lifestyle section on the menu if you don't see it on the front page. So make sure you go check it out. And if you did not get it, it's ZandraTV.com. Go ahead and click on the link in my show notes if you want to make it easier for yourself, and it'll take you directly there. I will speak to you on the next episode of the Bougie Baldie Podcast. Bye.
Thank you for watching the Bougie Baldie Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe